Again, my name is Amber, and I'm excited to share Play Attention with you today. A few things about myself is I have spent the last 15 plus years in secondary and post-secondary education, working with individuals to help them reach their academic goals, and Play Attention has been an integral part of that. Please do stay to the end if possible today, because we will be offering a special as a thank you today at the end of our webinar. So let's go ahead and get started. We have a big group and I have a lot to go through today. So let's go ahead and get started. So when we talk about our agenda today, and I do want to find out what your agenda is today, because there is a reason why you're joining us today. But what I want to cover is I want to review key features that are available to your clients when you use Play Attention, discuss how you can use our focus assessment as a lead generator, provide an overview of professional options, and then discuss next steps. So there will be an opportunity at the end for you to schedule some additional one-on-one time if you have more questions, or you want to know exactly how this would fit into your current business model, or how you could create a business model to have Play Attention with. But I do want to ask, what are some, what are you looking for today? What are some, are you interested in using Play Attention, with clients, with students? Do you work with children? Do you work with adults? Do you work with both? So why don't you go ahead and type in the chat box and just share today, who you're interested in using Play Attention with, cultivating and growing that business. What does that look like for you? What does your clientele currently make up? And I am going to share some of those. So I see Sean here is a teacher, so interested in using it with students. Thank you, Sean. I see Sarah here, who is a therapist and she's married. She's a marriage therapist, so she works with adults, so working with them, using Play Attention with them. I see John, he's interested in it for his clients. He's a counselor, so he sees a variety of clients. Go ahead, you can still type that in if you want to do that. Nicole, children and looking for mindfulness strategies, working specifically with children. Heather, who's interested, she's a tutor, and so interested in helping her students do better, right, academically, and build that. Let's see here. I gotta scroll down a little bit. Let's see here. Also, we have Jane, who has a learning center, so interested in implementing it in that learning center. So I'm not going to be able to get to all of those today, but thank you for sharing that with me. Those are really helpful, and it just shows the wide variety of individuals that you can use Play Attention with. And really, Play Attention offers you the ability to offer more your clients more. It gives you the ability to offer more. What is that value added? And that's really important in a business. What can we offer our clients? What will set us apart differently? Play Attention is that answer. It is the key, the piece of the puzzle for you, because Play Attention will provide you the ability to have customized training plans for your clients to specifically improve their executive function. So all of the individuals that I mentioned earlier, counselors, therapists, teachers, let's see, learning centers, tutors, all of those individuals are working with clients, right? Both children and adults. And all of us need strong executive function. Executive function is that CEO of my brain, right? It helps me plan, prioritize, organize, it helps me avoid procrastination, and it's necessary. Strong executive function is necessary both for successful academics as well as we are adults, right? They're necessary skills that we need to be productive and to reach our potential. Now, oftentimes, if you're working with individuals that might have a diagnosis such as ADHD, maybe a learning disability, maybe they're on the spectrum, maybe they're experiencing anxiety, depression, all of those diagnoses we know have a comorbidity of weak executive function. So we know that those individuals are struggling with weak executive function. Now, our focus is on that executive function because Those are skills that can be taught and that we can learn and we can create permanency with. So, regardless of if you're working with students as a tutor or if you're working with adults as a therapist, building executive function is necessary for the other tools that you're providing for them. We even know that executive function, part of that is emotional regulation. So we need to be able to have that strong executive function for to be successful in all of those areas. And play attention is going to provide you the ability to create a customized training program for each of your clients, regardless of if you're working with children or working with adults. Play Attention has been the leader in neurocognitive training for over 25 years. We are the only program that integrates technology with cognitive training and behavioral shaping. We're the only program out there that provides that. So you're going to be able to provide that directly to your clients. So key features that we are including here with Play Attention is number one, our neurotechnology, our body wave armband. So this is our advanced NASA-inspired body wave technology that's used with cognitive skill training and behavioral shaping. So this is the technology that we're integrating with those other pieces that we'll briefly talk about. This is what's going to give us that immediate feedback. So when we're talking about executive function, a component of that is attention. We have to be able to pay attention. We have to do that for strong memory, for emotional regulation, for task initiation, task completion. All of those skills require sustained attention. Now, if you're working with someone that has ADHD, attention is obviously an issue that they are struggling with that they need to strengthen. And sometimes people think that, with ADHD, if it's a deficit of attention, and that's really a misnomer because your ADHD clients, they can hyper focus on things that are interesting and exciting for them and pay attention for hours. But if you're working with someone that's struggling to maintain a conversation with their partner, to be able to stay attentive in the classroom, to be able to stay engaged and complete their homework or a work project, that attention can be really difficult. And so we need to give individuals the ability to get their attention in real time and to be able to practice it. We know that for our brain to make changes, which they can do. We know now that our brains have neuroplasticity and my brain is moldable and shapeable. And given any time in my life, I can learn new skills. But I have to have the right kind of tools. And I need to have catalysts present for my brain to make changes. I need certain things there for my brain to make changes to build new neural pathways. And one of those things is attention. I have to be able to pay attention and sustain that attention. That's a catalyst that I need for my brain to make changes. I also need deliberate practice and challenge. And so we'll talk a little bit about how Play Attention does integrate those pieces. So I have my body wave armband here. It's not very big. It fits right on your arm. There's a little Velcro closure on it. And what it's actually doing is there's sensors on the back. And when those sensors are touching bare skin, it's actually able to pick up brain activity indicative of attention. So when someone is in their optimal level of attention, their brain gives off a very specific electromagnetic signal. This device is listening for that signal. Now we can do that through the body as opposed to wearing something on the head for enhanced customer experience, but also because our body wave armband is strictly passive. So nothing's coming out of it. It's not making any changes. It's simply listening for that very tiny signal, and then it's feeding it wirelessly to the computer. And the reason why all of that is important is because the cognitive training that an individual will be working on, and we're going to talk about that here in a second, all of those training modules are triggered by attention. So when a person is paying attention, they're going to get their game to operate exactly the way that they want. They're going to get their task. They're going to be able to move their character. They're getting that immediate feedback of their attention, and they're experiencing what it's like to pay attention. But at any time, if they lose that attention for any reason, they become distracted, that internal dialogue starts going, someone comes in and starts talking to them. Any of those things happen, that attention signature is going to stop firing, going to let the software know. And now the training module is either going to freeze or the character is going to do the opposite of what the individual wants it to do. And now all of a sudden, they're getting that very tangible feedback now that they've lost that attention. So they got that feedback that they actually can pay attention. And that's really important when we're especially working with children, especially children that have been told, why can't you just pay attention? You're just not trying hard enough. Their brain is not wired to be able to do that. So in the first few seconds of play attention, they're actually able to see that they can do it, but we need to practice and strengthen it because they're struggling to sustain that. So this is really the first piece of play attention. It's that neurotechnology. And again, this is an example of kind of what it would look like. So the individual here on the screen, the student, they have their body wave armband on, and they're working on the game specifically here, attention stamina, building that attention at will. You'll notice that right off the bat, the graphics are very simple. There's not a lot going on. They're low stimuli graphics, and all of that is on purpose because if we gave an individual something super fun and exciting and fast paced, it's very easy to pay attention to. And so technology is an easy way or a good way to deliver content, but we need to make it a little bit harder to pay attention to, right? It's a little bit slower pace. It's more simple, right? It's simple than a traditional video game. And that is really what's helping them start to build that foundation as they go forward. And again, they're experiencing that attention and they're starting to have that very deliberate practice, which is another catalyst that we need. Now, we do have sheer genius. That's our artificial intelligence, and we'll talk about that. And that's a necessary part because it provides that deliberate practice as well. And that's another catalyst necessary. So now we're going to use it in conjunction with the ability to, now we're using it in conjunction with different cognitive training exercises. So this is where we're going to really start to customize it for your clients. Now, these games are, and these modules are effective for individuals that are the age 5 all the way into adulthood. We always say 5 to 105 because there's really no age that's too old. Because again, with that neuroplasticity in our brain, we're still able to strengthen and build those skills. We do recommend that they're at least 5 to get started, and that's just because cognitively they are going to need to understand that their attention is actually moving the character. But we have a wide variety of ways to train individuals, different modules that are going to help them build certain areas. Now, you might say, really, these are the same games, whether I'm working with a 5-year-old or a 35-year-old? And yes, because I mentioned our artificial intelligence sheer genius. Sheer genius makes this customizable for each individual you are going to work with because since that body wave armband is able to pick up that individual's attention, their level of attention, the system is actually able to auto adjust specifically to that individual's level. Because I could have two 20-year-olds both diagnosed with ADHD, but they're still going to present differently. So we need to make sure we're customizing it to work with each individual because there's not a one size fits all. So this is a really great way to work with a variety of individuals or even students that have different needs, are requiring different areas of assistance and different areas to build. So that's another way that we're working on that deliberate practice. We're working specifically to that individual. Now, when that individual gets in and starts training, as they start getting stronger, this system, sheer genius, our artificial intelligence, is going to make it just a little bit more difficult for them. They're not going to necessarily see it. It's just going to automatically do that for them. If they meet that challenge, it's going to make it just a little bit harder. But if they ever get to a challenge that's too difficult, it's going to bump it back down to that last level of success, even them out, and then start that process again. Because challenge is the third catalyst that we need for our brain to make changes. But we can't make it so difficult that you're just like, Amber, I can't do that. It's just too hard. We have to balance that success with that challenge. That's going to be the way that we're going to be able to build that going forward. So that talks a little bit about why and how we can use these games across such a wide variety of individuals. But there's also additional customization. So not only is it customizing it to that individual, there's also different modules that we can customize for each individual. Some of them make sense when you see short-term memory. That's exactly what it sounds like. But we'll talk through these different modules because every module provides them just something a little bit different as we go through. Now, the first six on my last screen are considered our foundations of executive function. So they're the foundations that provide that foundation of executive function. They are really beneficial across all individuals. And when we talk about those different exercises, they include attention stamina. That was the one that you saw on a previous slide. That's our ability to sustain our attention at will. The simple fact of being able to pay attention for longer and longer periods of time, especially on things that are a little bit more mundane, a little bit more repetitive, a little bit more challenging, right? They can pay attention when it's fun and exciting, but in that opposite environment, individuals struggle. And so building that ability. Visual tracking, that helps us track a moving object. This is a great one if you have a student in the classroom that can't stay engaged when that teacher is moving around the classroom. They're getting all of the distractions, right, in their vision line, but they're not able to tell you what that teacher is talking about. It can go the same way for an adult in a meeting as well. Time on task, that is our time management. We know individuals that maybe aren't even struggling with a diagnosis, but just executive function need help with time management, avoiding procrastination, completing tasks, ensuring we're getting our tasks done in the appropriate amount of time. So that 20-minute worksheet that your child is bringing home or that a student's bringing home, they're getting it done in 20 minutes. It's not taking 2 hours, right? Short-term memory, facts, figures, things that have just happened. Discriminatory processing helps us quickly filter information coming in, filtering out distractions as well. And then academic bridge is really going to tie everything together because it helps with that transfer and generalization. So we haven't really talked yet about what a typical training plan would look like for an individual. What we recommend is that individuals do an hour of training per week, but that hour is broken up into smaller chunks. So most of our professionals that are offering this to clients would do 2 times a week for 30 minutes. Your client would come in, they would work for 30 minutes, they would be done. They wouldn't be doing all of these exercises, number one, because not all of the exercises would be important for them to do. And number two, that would be too much for them to do. This can very much be thought of as like exercise for the brain. So we don't want to overwhelm the brain. And so generally we'll start with 5 exercises and rotate through those during that 30-minute period as they would go through. Now that's all important because when we talk about their training plan, we need to make sure that transfer and generalization is happening. Meaning I'm not just learning this on training module on the computer, I can actually do it in the classroom. I can do it at home. I can do it in the conference room. I can do it in my office. I am able to have these skills regardless of the environment because that's what we want to build here with Play Attention. We want to give you the ability to learn these skills with permanency and graduate the program. So we want your clients to go through that training plan and eventually graduate. Now, there's not, again, a one size fits all when I talk about the length of the training plan. The benchmark we see is around 40 hours. If you're doing an hour a week with an individual, 40 hours is anywhere between 8 months and a year. So there is some commitment behind it, but about a month into the program, we're going to start practicing that transfer and generalization with Academic Bridge, meaning you can have conversations with your client. You can require them to read something. You can have, if you're working with a student as a tutor, like someone mentioned earlier, you can have them start working on schoolwork because what it's going to do is they're still going to have that body wave armband on because we're still in training mode. We're still tracking. However, they're going to be doing a real life activity and they're going to experience in that environment what it's like to pay attention, what it's like to experience that. And so we're continuing to build those pathways and get to that permanency. So Academic Bridge is, of course, one of our foundations. Now, when we talk about the others, so of course you saw a lot more on my earlier screen, there are 7, actually there's more than 7, there's 9 more masterclass modules that we can include additionally for individuals to really enhance their learning. So when I talk through these, you'll understand right away how they can enhance some individuals, but not everyone, because not everyone needs social skills, right? So our social skills module is designed to help individuals build the understanding of a social cue, the nonverbal aspect of communication. We work with some individuals that really struggle with that. They can't read people, so it causes issues with peer relationships. Not everybody needs that, but if an individual is struggling in that area, that can really enhance their learning. So our additional modules here are designed specifically to do that. So working memory helps with problem solving, critical thinking. Auditory processing helps an individual learn to retain and repeat verbal information. Hand-eye coordination is that fine motor skill. Social skills, I talked about that one. Motor skills takes it a little bit further and works on that mind-body connection. So more of how they're actually able to move their body. Spatial memory helps individuals remember where things are located at. So if you're working with a client that loses every item they own, a great area to enhance their learning. Mindfulness, someone mentioned earlier, helping their students with mindfulness or children with mindfulness. And, mindfulness we know can be very, very beneficial for anyone, but individuals that are struggling with attention, individuals that maybe have an internal dialogue that is hard to turn off in their brain, it's very hard for them to know, am I being mindful? So one of our masterclass modules is Lotus, and Lotus works on mindfulness. So when an individual is in that state of mindfulness, they're going to be able to open a lotus flower one petal at a time. So going back to talking about that in the very beginning, they're experiencing it. And when we experience and we practice, we're able to learn that skill. So we're putting them in an environment where they can practice mindfulness so they know what it feels like. So they've done it before. So when they're outside of play attention, they really do know how to do it and they can rely on those skills that they've learned. And then we also have first and second grade math facts. So we do addition and subtraction for first and second grade. So we have a lot of different modules that are designed, again, to enhance an individual's learning. Now, with all of those modules that I talked about, it's important to know that every single one of those modules helps an individual build processing speed, helps them learn how to move from task to task, so do task switching, to control their impulse, and to avoid distractions. So regardless of what we put into an individual's training plan, they're always working on that. But then each of those modules I mentioned have a different educational correlate. So they're all working on something differently. So we're customizing, or we have the ability to customize, not only because we're picking up a specific individual's level, we can adjust to that, but also what we can put specifically into their training plan. Here's just a little example of when I talk about the mindfulness. There's the individuals in a yoga room and they're opening that lotus flower, and then kind of what that those different math facts modules look like. So how do you decide, what do I assign a client? How do I know how to create their training plan? I have, a numerous 15 different modules, and I'm only going to work with 5 in the beginning. How am I going to determine what 5 are going to be most effective? Now, first thing in that is you're going to work on the 5 that are going to be most effective for them, but no, we can always add additional ones in later. So if you're looking and you think, oh, I have a client right now that can use 9 of those modules, we won't start with 9, but we can create a program that as they start to master some of those earlier skills, we can start to backfill with those other areas they need strengthening. But the way here at Play Attention, we determine and we assess our clients' immediate need and customize their plan is through our focus assessment. So our focus assessment is a norm-based test of attentional control. So a lot of words for me saying that it helps us, or it allows us to compare individuals to their peer group. So we know at different ages, there's different norm ranges for our attention. So by comparing them to their norm group, we see, okay, are they below the norm? Are they on the norm? Or are they above? They're above the norm. They're strong in that area. We don't need to train. Not everybody needs every single area. But if they're below the norm or even on the norm, those are areas we want to train on, because that norm continues to shift as we get older. So we want to make sure that individuals, especially children, are staying on that norm as they get older. Okay. This is a 20-minute assessment that individuals can do. It's looking at 4 areas of attentional control. So in that 20 minutes, it's asking them to do a very specific task. When you see the yellow star, you hit the space bar. Sounds very easy. There's no reading or writing or anything like that in there. So it gives you a wide variety of individuals to use it with. However, it sounds easy, but the difficult piece of it is it's slow, it's mundane, it starts to repeat itself. It's frankly boring. We're basically putting them in their least ideal situation to see how their attention performs. Because we put them in that fun and exciting environment, they're going to be able to pay attention. But if we put them in that opposite environment, we're really going to get that baseline and see how are they performing, because that's the area that we want to build. This is a great tool to use with your clients because you're not just saying, oh, you need to build executive function. You're showing them these are the areas of executive function you need to build, and this is how we're going to do it. And that's what we hear a lot from our clients is, well, I know I've got an issue, but how am I going to fix it? What's the plan? And focus is a great tool to show them the plan. So it's looking over that 20 minutes of how consistent that individual is, their accuracy, their ability to follow through, their ability to follow simple instructions. We look at their performance, that's their memory, their ability to process. We see how impulsive they are, and then we see how they perform while distractions are present. So there's both auditory and visual distractions. And so all of these areas are relating back to those cognitive training modules that we talked about earlier. So by using the focus, becoming a focus accredited, our professionals that use this become focus accredited. They'll learn how to use this tool in conjunction with play attention to create that customized training plan specifically for each individual. Now, the great thing about this assessment is it can be done numerous different times. So many times here at Play Attention, we'll use it pre to get a really good baseline, and we'll use it post because it's the exact same assessment. So it's giving us a really good apples to apples comparison of this is how I'm starting, or this is where they're starting. Here's where they are after they've done 40 hours. You can even do a midpoint and do 20 hours. This is especially good if you have an individual that really struggles to get through the 20 minutes or can't make it through the 20 minutes in the beginning. You get the best information you can out of it, which is still going to provide you a lot of phenomenal information because it lets you know in that short amount of time how they're performing. You're going to be able to build them up, and then you can do it at 20 minutes and then see, or at 20 hours and see, oh, look, they couldn't get through that assessment initially, but even after just 20 hours of training, they're able to get through that. So this is a really great tool that you can use in conjunction with your play attention plan because it really will assess that immediate need that individuals are looking for and create that plan. Give them that black and white plan of this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to move forward. So the focus assessment, including this with your play attention plan, allows you to assess your clients, generate leads because you're able to offer this. This is again value added that allows you to say, okay, well, if you do this assessment, it will give us a clear picture of where that individual is right now and how we can build them. And so you're able to convert those leads into clients because it gives them a very black and white picture of where they're at now and how they're going to get to their goals. What is that plan? How are we going to get there? It's very, very customized. We also have our behavioral shaping component. So the third piece, so I mentioned earlier, we're the only program that integrates feedback technology, our body wave R-band, with cognitive skill building and behavioral shaping. So behavioral shaping is the third piece of our program that allows you to track self-distracting behavior. We know many times individuals that are struggling with executive function may also, especially if they have attention or impulse areas that they need to work on, they're struggling with self-distracting behavior. It can be fidgeting, it can be frustration, it can be calling out, it can be getting up and moving around, but they're behaviors that we know are preventing them from being fully focused and attentive as they go through that program or as they're working in a day-to-day environment. Now, the problem is a lot of times individuals are completely unaware that these behaviors are happening, or if they are aware, they're not sure how often they're happening. So this is a great tool that you can use with clients as well to really help build the awareness and start to regulate those behaviors. And so the way that this piece works is, and you may not need this for every client, And again, customized for the client, can be turned on or off depending on if your client or student needs this additional tool. But if you are using it with a client, you'll have it turned on. You will have an electronic, an online behavior scale. There's different behaviors on that scale, and you're going to observe as they go through their training. And every time you see a behavior happen, you're going to make just a little mark. You're going to add on that online chart. You don't have to engage or redirect. You're just simply collecting data for the system, because remember that body wave armband is only tracking attention. At the end of the game, Sheer Genius, the artificial intelligence, pops up and says, was there any self-distracting behaviors? You enter everything that you found, and then it gathers all of that data. And next time that individual logs in, it's going to set a goal for them. Remember that deliberate practice model, right? So it's going to set a goal specific to them. Now it's going to set a goal for the behavior that's happening the most, because we're not even going to work on two behaviors. We don't want to overwhelm the brain. So let's say they fidgeted 15 times. So their goal is going to be, today, let's fidget less than 15 times. Now a few things can happen. Number one, we're going to track them again. But number two, at the end of their session, we can have a real teachable moment and start to talk about, do you remember fidgeting? Was there something on your mind? We can talk through that. But also remember, every single game that they play, they're working on impulse control. So without them even knowing it, they're working on that skill. And also, we're giving them immediate feedback of their attention. So what we want to happen is, out of those 15 times, one time they fidget and their game freezes, and they connect those dots. And when they connect those dots, they're more able to connect those dots later down the road. And when we are aware of the behavior, we can start to work on regulating that behavior. So this is just another piece that can be really, really beneficial for your clientele to really help them through that process. But again, it's customizable. If you have an individual that's more on the inattentive side and they don't have this, you simply turn it off and it won't even pop up. But you would always bring it back in later for that client. Okay. We talked about ensuring transfer and generalization. So here's an example of a student wearing her body wave armband. The computer's off the screen, and she's working on an assignment. And what it's doing is, when she's fully focused and paying attention, it's telling her, good, great. So she's experiencing and getting that feedback that this is what it's like to pay attention while I'm doing my assignment. But at any time, if she starts to lose that attention and she falls below that optimal range, she's going to hear focus. And that's really important, because again, it's giving that ability to experience and practice the skill outside of play attention, but still with that training mode as we go forward. Academic Bridge can be used as where it's coming in as one of the games that they're working on. So Academic Bridge allows an individual, normally what would happen in a training plan is we would set up their profile. Those games are going to preload based on their performance, and Academic Bridge is going to come into that training plan. However, we've just recently offered a brand new version of Play Attention 6.4, and it allows professionals to just select Academic Bridge at any time. So if you have a student that really needs to work on that for the day, instead of working on their training modules, all you have to do is click Academic Bridge and get them started on an activity. So it really allows you to, again, customize for that individual. Maybe they're coming in for a third day this week just to work on that transfer and generalization. So instead of having them have to go in and do some sessions or change their training plan around, it allows you to just customize it for that individual and turn that Academic Bridge on and allow them to train just on that portion. Another piece that we have available is Media Player. Media Player will allow an individual to, again, continue to enhance their skills. So now, instead of doing an activity like a homework assignment on paper, you can actually view a media file. And what it will do, this is an example where this individual is watching a presentation, and while he's engaged, the presentation will run. But when he stops to take notes, because he's lost that attention, the presentation will stop, and it will wait until he's re-engaged and refocused, and then it will start back up. So just another tool to use to enhance that training as we go forward. Play attention helps you solve the ADHD puzzle by using executive function, self-regulation, social skills, impulse control, But also, remember, we work with a wide variety of diagnoses as well as individuals that are diagnosed. We're building that ability to strengthen that executive function, that self-regulation as they go forward. Play attention is designed for success. So we are giving you all of these options together. It's out of the box, very simple to use, but very customizable at the same time. So when we talk about the key features, we have the NASA-inspired body wave armband, cognitive training, full behavioral shaping, curriculum control. We didn't talk about that, but you have complete control over their curriculum. You design for each and every one of your clients what that training plan will look like. Customization specifically for them, that academic bridge to help with that transfer and generalization, your ability to review sessions. So what will happen is every time you have a client go on and do training, the system's collecting data on their progress. And so they're going to get immediate feedback as soon as the module, the exercise is done. But at any time, you can go in and run a multitude of data on that client. You can also see their session review. You can review how their session was last time they trained. Each of your clients will have the ability to have journal reflection. We know this can be really, really helpful in building that self-monitoring of them as they go through the program. And the journal, if you turn it on, and you can, again, customize it for each of your clients, turn it on, turn it off. When you turn it on, it asks them 2 questions. What did I do well today? And what did I learn? And it allows them to start working on that reflection. The deliberate practice model. So it's adjusting to the individual, using the program. It's challenging them as they go through, giving them the ability to practice not only their attention, but their executive function, but also the system creates goals specific for each individual. So there's going to be certain benchmarks that they need to hit as they go through the program. And so the system will help generate goals to get them to hit those benchmarks. So an example of that would be on one of our exercises in the beginning level, we want them to play for at least 5 minutes and have at least 75% of attention or higher. They have to do that 5 consecutive times before they move on. If you have an individual that is consistently getting 50% of attention, their goal is going to be today, let's try for 55%, right? So we're meeting them where they're at, and we're giving them that very specific goal to help move that dial just a little bit. Once they meet that, we're going to move the dial a little bit again. And we're working on continuing to build. Now, those are automatically generated for you. You don't have to do anything. And they're customized specifically to each user and their actual game data. I mentioned the challenges there. Remember, it's going to challenge them not only in each level, but they'll move through different levels as well, which will stack on additional things for them to learn. As I mentioned before, you have access to your data for any of your clients at any time. You can create a rewards program if you're working with really anyone. Obviously, we see it more with children, but I have a lot of adults that use the rewards program as well. And the way that will work is every time an individual meets a goal, they earn a point. And then you can create whatever you want. And again, that's specific to the individual. So if you're working with one child and their parents want to do that rewards, your other clients will not even know about that. So again, very specific to your client. And then that sheer genius artificial intelligence is there every step of the way. It does all of the heavy lifting for you. It tracks everything, preloads the exercises for your client. So as soon as they log in for the day, those games are going to preload for them. You don't have to worry about what did they do last time, what are they doing this time. So not only, again, is it very customizable for your clients, still out of the box and very user-friendly as we go forward. So what are your professional options? What is available to you as a play attention professional? We have 3 different areas that are available to individuals. We have our traditional professional system. It's designed to do one-to-one training. You're working with one client at a time. Maybe you have 10 sessions during the day, and each session you have a different client you're working with. This can be same in the classroom. You're going to tutor students, so you're working one-on-one. That is our traditional play attention professional system. You have the opportunity, once you have your play attention professional system, to also be an iLab, have an iLab system. And the iLab system provides you, and I'm going to show you a couple slides here, it provides you to start doing group training or virtual training. So it allows you to expand your business a little bit more. You're not just tied to doing one at one to one. You can do three, four, five at a time, or you can work with somebody where there's a geographical constraint there. And also, we have the certified provider. So we have certified provider for play attention. So I'm going to explain a little bit what those look like. I want to provide some pricing on all of it as well. So again, our professional system is designed to do one-to-one training, and what that looks like when we start talking about pricing, what's included is you'll receive your body wave armband. You receive one, and that is because you can use that with a multitude, and you're only working with one at a time. You have unlimited user licenses, so you can enroll as many individuals as you want into the program. So there's no constraint on that. You have the behavioral shaping module that you can use with all of your clients. You have the cognitive training software package. So it comes with those 6 foundational courses. You have a personal executive functions coach to train you, to help you use the system. You also have the ability to train your staff. So you have free staff training, unlimited user license, as I mentioned. I jumped ahead to that. And you have a lifetime membership. So once you purchase the program and own it, it's your system to keep. You can use as long as you like. There's no monthly fees. There's no subscription fees. The cost on this is $2,495. We do, and we can all share some information or give you a way to connect with us. We also have recently, if you've been around but you haven't pulled the trigger yet on Play Attention, a new item we have available is we've recently partnered with a firm, and they offer a payment plan option for US residents. So we'll talk a little bit about that if that's something that you're looking at to get started with. So this is our traditional professional one-to-one. So you have this, or you get started with this, and now you decide, you know what, I think I want to do group training, or I have a few clients that I really could benefit from this, but they would rather do it remote. And this is where you can now expand that professional one-to-one system and go into an iLab program. When you go into iLab, you don't have to choose whether it's going to be group or whether it's going to be virtual. You have the opportunity to do both. You'll receive the software that allows you to network systems together. So you can have one professional that's working with a numerous amount of students, and as well as that software gives you the ability to do all of the virtual components necessary. So you could do, if you had 3, and we'll talk about student stations, because basically with iLab, each of your students you're training has to have a student station, which would provide software as well as hardware for that individual to train. But if you had 3 student stations, you could essentially use those 3 student stations 5, 6, 7 times in one day, right? As many sessions as you wanted to do, you could rotate through. So if you had 7 sessions and you were working with one client, you're only going to be able to bill for 7. But if you have 3 student stations and you have 7 sessions, now all of a sudden you have the ability to see 21 clients in a day, right? So that return on investment starts to increase significantly as we start to add multiple individuals as you move forward. When we talk about the virtual component, this would be an example of group training, but let me see if I have a slide here for virtual. Yeah. But when we talk about the virtual component here, it's again all in one. You don't have to use any third-party apps. If that individual has a camera on their computer, which let's face it, most computers now, that comes standard with them. As long as they have a camera, you have video, you can have a live chat with them, you can have just chat messaging, you can do just phone, you can see their data in real time. So essentially, it's like you are right beside them, but they're somewhere else. And so again, there's no geographical constraint. As long as both of you have access to internet, you can use this component. So again, you could have, 3 that come to group, or do 3 stations that are doing group, and you could have 1 or 2 virtual as well. It's all however you want to build, you want to design that business. This is something that can be added on at any time. You can start with that one-to-one and you can build to this iLab at any time. There's no limit of student stations that you need to purchase at one time. You can purchase them one at a time and slowly grow your business. It's whatever works best for you. So when we're talking about specifically the iLab, your first student station would be your professional system that you purchased for $2,495. So that would be considered your first student station. You need the Ilab licensing software. Again, that allows you to network as well as it allows you to do that virtual component. That is a fee of $399. Once you have that software, you have it, you don't have to purchase it again. And then the investment comes in as to how many student stations you want. So every student station that you add in is $1,995. They're discounted from that original professional system, and they can be used multiple times. Now, obviously, if you're doing it in a group setting, you're going to be able to use that multiple times in one day. Now, you can still reuse that virtual one, but remember, a virtual student client is probably going to use that body wave armband. That's everything included in that student station for about 8 months to a year. But it can come back into your inventory and it can be reused again. Some of our professionals will purchase that student station for their inventory and rent it to clients over that 8 months to a year. I also have some professionals that will actually have the client purchase that student station. And so you have opportunities to do that. I'm going to give you an option at the end. If you want to talk specifically about your business, we can set up a one-to-one. So we've talked about play attention, we've talked about the focus, we've talked about our media player, we've talked about your ability to do virtual and group training, but how do you get the word out? How do you market it? And if anyone here has done any kind of marketing, you know that it's always changing, especially now that we have social media and virtual. And it can take a lot of time. It can be very, very time consuming. As a matter of fact, recent studies indicate that a small business owner will spend at least 20 hours a week on marketing and include 7 to 8% of their gross revenue. So thinking if you're a current business owner and you have an extra 20 hours a week to do marketing, raise your hand. If that's something you're like, oh yeah, I totally have an extra 20 hours. Most likely I'm not going to get anybody to raise their hand, because what is going to happen is you're spending way more than 40 hours a week anyways, and you thinking about spending even 20 of those 40 hours on marketing is unfathomable, because you could be using your time so much more effectively. However, we know marketing is necessary for any business, and this is where our certified provider professional program comes into play. Our certified provider program provides the marketing for you. Once you become a Play Attention certified provider professional, you will receive tons of marketing, and actually new marketing every single month. We'll, number one, help you get your business started. This is really great if Play Attention is going to be a new leg of your business, or if you're just starting a brand new business that is going to feature Play Attention. We're going to help you set your goals. We're going to help you with your marketing strategy. We're going to provide you marketing materials, and we're going to provide you with an action plan. I think that's the really important piece to remember when we're talking about Play Attention and anything that we do, is we always want to give you that action plan. We know we'll help you identify those areas of weakness, but that's not helpful if we don't give you an action plan. And that's part of the Play Attention certified provider program. We'll help you define your target audience. We'll help teach you how to reach that audience. Know the problem you're solving. What problem are you solving for those clients? Because that's how you're going to bring them on board. Help you lay out a comprehensive strategic plan, and then help you promote your business. That is what it's going to provide you with, all of the marketing. You will receive a portal of a large amount of marketing material right off the bat. Ways to help you with goals, marketing strategies, admin content, email, graphics, social media graphics, all of that will be provided to you right off the bat. However, you're also going to get brand new marketing materials every single month. They are geared towards Play Attention. They're designed. We use them here at Play Attention. They're specifically what we're using here, but you can customize it for your business. So you'll have the opportunity where you can add in your specific business name. So it looks like you've created these graphics, and they're very professional, very well done. I have a couple examples here. So when we talk about every month, that material that we're providing to you is a theme. So we've done anxiety, we've done back to school, we have done procrastination, we have done, I mean, we have a multitude of themes, ADHD and self-esteem. And every single month, you're going to be provided with an ebook, completed ebook on the topic, a PowerPoint with a script, as well as social media posts to target all ages. We're going to provide you with the graphics where you can address all different ages because everybody addresses a different set of clientele. The ebooks are great, and as well as the PowerPoint. We do webinars every single week. Many of you have attended numerous webinars that we offer, and most of you come to us through an ebook that we offer, which is a lead generator, right? As well as a webinar invite. So we will use that. We'll offer a new ebook for clients on our website. They'll click on it. They'll provide their email address, their some information about them, and it allows us the ability to check in with them, see if there's anything that we can provide to them, as well as invite them to a webinar. And you will have all of the information necessary through the PowerPoint and script to do a monthly webinar on that topic if you would like. So all of that's there. So you are essentially able to draw in more clientele without having to do all of the legwork. It's already done for you. Additionally, here's one of the graphics. So this is kind of what it looks like, right? Does your amazing child have low self-esteem? What do you say when they say I can do it, just isn't enough? Download the ebook to learn more, right? So it provides you all of these great pieces of graphics, all of these different pieces. Here's another example of what the graphic, again, you're going to have something to address both children as well as adults. So to become a certified provider professional, there is a license fee of $2,000. That is for a 2-year membership. That includes your initial business planning meeting, as well as immediate access to your marketing materials. There is a monthly fee of $50 a month, which guarantees you that delivery of your monthly content. And let me tell you, you're getting way more than $50 worth because you're getting the ebook, you're getting a webinar, essentially PowerPoint with script, as well as several social media graphics that you can use on your website, in newsletters, as well as in social media. So I have covered a ton of information today in a very short amount of time. I'm sure it feels like information overload, and I know I'm getting close to the time. But what we discussed today, just kind of to wrap up everything, how to incorporate play attention and the masterclass modules into your program, how to offer media player, become a Focus accredited, expand your into Ilab, or become a certified provider, right? So there's a lot of different avenues to use play attention. And again, you can start out as that professional one-to-one and build from there. It's all what that looks like for you moving forward. So I want to give you some next steps, and then I'm going to share with you the special offer for attending and hanging on till the end. If you would like to discuss more of your business, right? You want to talk about what you're trying to build or what you already have in place and how play attention would fit into that. All you simply have to type in the chat box is consultation. We'll reach out to you directly. We'll schedule some time, about 30, 45 minutes, to talk specifically about your business and how play attention could fit in. If you'd like to learn more about Focus and becoming Focus accredited, if you would like to try one of the Focus assessments on yourself, on a client, see what that looks like, simply type in Focus in the chat box and we will help you with that. If you have play attention or you're ready to get started, right? You're like, okay, I've been looking at play attention for a while and this is really ticks all of the boxes that I'm looking for, that very hands-on training, very tangible training for my clients. You can type in your phone number and we will reach out and help you get started. One of our assistants will help with that. And if you are, if you are a play attention client already and you have some new staff and you'd like to train them on play attention, it's been a while, maybe you can always type in tutorial. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us directly. And again, I really appreciate all of you being here today. Thank you. Have a great day.